The essence of bobsledding.
The new sled feels like gliding on silk.
The essence of shaving.
This is new Atra Plus, an incredible advance in Gillette shaving smoothness. The Plus is the unique lubricating strip that glides the razor effortlessly. You never felt anything smoother.
New Atra Plus by Gillette. The essence of shaving.
Welcome to another shave here on the Soap Thing Project. This video is going to be the third in a 6-part series of videos that I'm calling The Evolution of Gillette Cartridge Razors. We're moving up chronologically. We did the Techmatic and then the Track 2, and now it's time for this. The Gillette Atra, my all-time favorite razor from Gillette. Out of all the razors they've ever made, this one is my personal favorite, and we'll talk about why during the shave. There are two things that make the Atra famous. One is, it is the first razor from Gillette that has a pivoting head. It pivots up and down. It does not pivot side to side. So that is one innovation that we get from the Atra. The other innovation we get is the lubricating strip. This was introduced on the Atra in 1985, and it's the first razor from Gillette to have it. After the fact, it was put on other razors like the Track 2, and then obviously the Fusion and the Mach 3 and the sensor and everything else that came after it. The older blades just have Gillette imprinted on it. I'm not sure if you can see that. So, here's what we're going to do. I have two razors, two Gillette Atras. So let's do it this way. On the left side of my face, we are going to do a shave with the plastic, the mostly plastic version of the Atra with a lubricating strip. And on the right side of my face, we're going to use the all-metal Atra without it. So we're going to see how much of a difference the lubricating strip really makes. Let's talk about these two razors specifically. Well, let's talk about the Atra. This razor was made from 1977 until the early 2000s. It was actually really hard for me to find an exact discontinuation date for the original handles. Every time I looked at a source, the numbers were just all over the place. And so suffice it to say early 2000s. Let's go for the date codes. What are the date codes on this razor? Let me look it up with the iPhone cheat sheet. So the all-plastic Atra has a date code right down here, right there. I'm not sure if you can see that on either side. There's some etching in there for letters. It says A1. Okay, so let's see here. A1. So it looks like first quarter 1980 for this one right here. Now, the plastic one, if you find one of these and it's relatively inexpensive, pick it up. Because this thing, this plastic razor, though it's lightweight as hell, it's also durable as hell. It is a rock solid razor. There's no play in the razor. One of the ways you can tell if you have a bad Atra, one of the ones that's been bounced around too many times, is if there's play in between the handle and the head. So if you can shake it around, there's play in there, that means you have one that's been abused. But this plastic one is so rock solid. It's pretty crazy. So if you find one of these and it's in good shape and it's a good price, pick it up because it is worth it. This thing is going to last you a while. And then obviously we have the all-metal version right here. This one is an H4. So let's look it up. 1987 for this one. Yeah, 1987. So fourth quarter 1987 for the all-metal one. So obviously they made it in all metal. They made it in, well, mostly plastic. So those are the two most common ones that you'll probably find. They also made one that was in a brown Bakelite, which I would kill to get my hands on one of those. If it's in really good shape, oh, who knows how much money I would pay for that. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. We're going to use these two razors right here. The shaving cream and the aftershave is going to be the same stuff we've been using up until this point. This is going to be the last shave with this stuff. After this, we're going to rotate to a different set of software. But we have the Gillette Foamy Shave Cream and the aftershave skin conditioner. All right, let's get this started.
The Great American Face. Rugged, distinctive. The Great American Razor. Atra. Solid. Pivots for closeness. The Great American Face deserves the Great American Shave. Atra. Only from Gillette.
All right, folks. 2 days of growth on the face today. So, like I said in the Techmatic video, you're going to want to really get the excess water off your face. You want a damp face, but you don't want a face that's like soaking wet, because the Gillette Foamy will actually kind of dissolve and just kind of dissipate. And so you'll be finding yourself adding more and more and more of it. But yeah, 2 days growth. Let's put the Gillette Foamy on the face. So in the shaving hobby, we have a scent dupe of Barbasol. That would be PAA's CAD, or cease and desist is what that stands for. But we don't have a scent dupe of this, the Gillette Foamy, which I think this smells better than Barbasol. I don't know why, just for some reason I like it better. Okay, and here's the thing about shaving cream. I think you can make the argument that shaving soap is better for your face than Gillette Foamy or like Edge Gel, but I think it's silly and preposterous when people say that this is bad for your face, because even I've been guilty of saying it before. There are people who have shaved with Gillette Foamy or Edge Gel for 30, 40, 50 years, their entire life, and their face is doing just fine. So the idea that Gillette Foamy and Edge Gel, as far as where the rubber meets the road, the idea that that stuff is somehow bad, like really bad, like it's going to give you skin cancer or something crazy, give me a break, people. Give me a break. Okay. On the left side, Gillette Atra, plastic one with the lubricating strip. On the right side, the original all-metal Atra without it. This is a vintage blade, by the way. I don't know how old it is, but it's an old blade. This blade is brand new, so do keep that in mind. Okay, here we go. Nice. There's a lot of chatter with this one, but it's still pretty smooth. Is it getting very close? It doesn't feel like it, but it appears that it is. Nice. The lubricating strip doesn't appear to be doing much, to be honest with you. The lubricating strip on the Atra and the Track 2, to this day, and even to an extent the sensor, the lubricating strip isn't going to be so overzealous quite as much as like the one on the Mach 3 and the Fusion. Even the new blades, the lubricating strip is just doing less, which in my opinion is a good thing. Okay, here is the one without it. Here we go. Interesting. So why do we have this lubricating strip? You know, a lot of people in the shaving hobby are like, well, when Edge Gel and Gillette Foamy came along, nobody was using shaving soap anymore, and so this stuff is not as slick, and so they had to put a lubricating strip on there to make it slick, because they ended up in a situation where they didn't have a soap that was slick. Not correct. And I'm getting my information from a variety of places, but if you want kind of a one-stop shop for this, check out Matt Pisarcik's video over at Razor Emporium. He talked to a gentleman from Procter & Gamble about exactly how we got here and why. And there were talks of adding a lubricating strip during the Track 2 era. And basically somebody wanted a razor where you could see through the slickness you were shaving with, because obviously Gillette Foamy is not transparent. And so they wanted something. Both sides are not very close. I'd say they're about even. So they wanted something that they could shave with, where they could see through the slickness of the soap or the slime, whatever you want to call it. And so that was an idea. And then quite a few years later, there were talks about shaving in austere conditions. Like if for whatever reason you didn't have shaving cream, the razor would have some kind of slickness promoting substance on it already. So that, I think, was the ultimate rationale for it. Was they weren't trying to compensate for foam in a can that wasn't slick. The idea was that you would use this without any shaving cream or foam at all. You would just use it by itself. And I got that from quite a few different places, talked about that being kind of the rationale for it. And that was further substantiated when I watched Matt Pisarcik's video. I was like, yeah, that seems to be what happened. All right, pass number 2. Against the grain. One is not noticeably sharper than the other. I will say that. I'm just now starting to feel that this one is slicker. But I think it took a while for that lubricating strip to really kick in. And here's the thing, if that's really what you're going for, is that the lubricating strip is supposed to be for in place of shaving cream, then why would you have it above the cutting line? Why wouldn't you have it below it? They never did explain that one. Okay, here we go. Here is the non-lubricating strip. And this, you can very much tell that it is not providing any additional lubrication, obviously. But it doesn't feel like it really needs it. This blade feels just fine. By the way, if you find packs of these cartridges without the lubricating strip, I would pretty much kill to have some of those. I don't plan on using them. Certainly not that often. It would just be cool to have. As kind of a reminder. I'm going to do touch-ups all over my face with this one. It's kind of a reminder of how things used to be. Now, what's the purpose of the pivoting head? Well, as I'm sure you remember from the last video, the Track 2 did not have a pivoting head. Well, one of the things that can happen is if you are not really good at working your wrist, you can sort of drag the razor across your face at an angle that might create a sort of a biting point. Where if you shave around, you know, corners of your mouth or down on your chin at just the right angle, and the contour of the blade making contact with your face isn't moving with the curvature of your face, you could reach this like pinpoint where your skin is pointed out enough that the blade might actually dig in and draw blood. So that was the rationale for that, to make it to where you could shave, I guess, faster would be one way to look at it. And you wouldn't have to pay attention as much. They were trying to make shaving quicker and easier. That is always has been what sells mainstream razors. What gets you out the door faster and with less effort. Alright. And with that final rinse, I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, let's talk about it. I said before this is my favorite razor. Well, why? In my opinion, this was when Gillette had the best combination of innovation, ingenuity, and build quality. After this, when we move on to the sensor, which you'll see later, there was a precipitous drop in build quality. Like, the Atra just feels way higher quality than the sensor does. Now, I think for Gillette, the sensor was a better razor. It's not my personal favorite, but I'm smart enough to know a grand slam when I see one. But I think the reason I like this one is partly how it looks. I am a sucker for 1980s memorabilia, and this definitely qualifies. This is definitely a 1980s looking razor without a doubt. It's a bit overcomplicated. Like, you have to push this button right here to get the blade on and out, like that. And then you have these like tongs that squeeze in to pick up the blade from the outsides. Well, the problem with that is whenever you stick this handle into your sort of blade bank to pull it out, they always tend to get stuck. So I think Gillette realized really quickly that this was way more complicated than it needed to be, if I can show you that. So if you push down on this centerpiece, it will release the blade. See that? And if you push on this, there, it releases the blade, and then when it's contracted, it's grabbing the blade. So this was more complicated than it needed to be. Is it fragile? I mean, I own 6 Atra razors at this point, and I've never had these break on me, but I'm not bouncing my razors across the room and slamming them against the wall either. So if you're careful with these ought to last you a really long time. It was another gigantic leap. We went from safety razors, you know, such as the slim adjustable, the super adjustable. We went to the Techmatic, the Track 2, and now this. And you can see the sort of steady, slow incremental change. So you went from an overcomplicated single blade cartridge razor in the Techmatic, and then you went to 2 blades that were fixed in place without a lubricating strip, and then you went to 2 blades that pivoted, and then you went to 2 blades that pivoted with a lubricating strip, Well, I guess when we do the sensor video, we will see what comes next. What was their big improvement when they went from this to that? But yeah, that is the Atra for you. This is the razor that I by far know the most about because I love this thing. It's a great razor. If you have a chance to pick one up that's in good shape, I recommend putting one in your collection. If you can bear to have cartridge razors in your collection, these vintage cartridge razors are starting to get popular, so definitely pick one up. Alright, that's the video for today. Questions, comments, put them in the comment section of the video. Otherwise, until next time, this is Soap Thing telling you, shave like you mean it. Thanks for watching.